The empty chair in the living room was the worst. It just sat there, perfectly still, a silent monument to everything I'd lost. It had been Maria's favorite, a worn armchair by the window where she'd read for hours, sipping her tea. Now, it was just empty. 3 months. 3 months since she was gone, and the house still smelled faintly of her lavender and jasmine perfume. Sometimes, I'd catch a whiff when I walked past her closet, or when a breeze stirred the curtains in our bedroom, and it would hit me like a physical blow. The silence in the house was a heavy blanket, muffling everything, making the world feel distant and unreal. Every creak of the floorboards, every drip of the faucet, just highlighted how quiet it really was without her laughter, her humming, her voice. It was a void, a deep, cold space inside me that nothing seemed to fill. I'd try to distract myself, watch TV, read a book, but my eyes would always drift back to that chair, to the space she used to occupy. The chill in the air, even on a warm day, felt like it came from inside me, a constant reminder of the warmth that was no longer there. Then things started getting weird. Not big, flashy weird, but small, unsettling kinds of weird. I'd be looking for my keys, convinced I'd left them on the kitchen counter, only to find them tucked neatly inside my shoe, a place I never put them. Or I'd be thinking about a specific song, one Maria and I used to love, and then, out of nowhere, it would start playing on the radio, usually a station I never listened to. The first few times I just brushed it off. Coincidence, right? My mind playing tricks on me because I was grieving. But it kept happening. Little things, but they piled up. One morning, I found a single, dried rose petal on my pillow. Maria loved roses. I hadn't had any in the house since she passed. I looked around, checked the windows, tried to figure out how it got there. Nothing. Just a petal, sitting there, perfectly placed. A growing unease started to settle in, a feeling that went beyond simple grief. It was like the world was nudging me, subtly, gently, but persistently. My dreams also changed. They weren't the usual jumble of daily worries or old memories. These were different. They were vivid, almost too real. I'd see swirling patterns of starlight, not just stars, but entire galaxies, turning slowly, like cosmic gears. Then there were these geometric shapes, intricate and precise, that seemed to shift and reform in endless combinations. And symbols, strange markings I'd never seen before, like a language I couldn't read, but somehow felt I understood. The dreams weren't scary. In fact, they held a strange beauty, a profound sense of importance. I'd wake up feeling like I'd just witnessed something monumental, something that demanded my attention. It was a feeling of being watched, not in a creepy way, but more like being guided, like someone or something was communicating with me through these dream images, trying to tell me something urgent. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being prepared for something, though I had no idea what. And the numbers. Oh, the numbers. They started appearing everywhere. 11:11 on the clock, constantly. I'd look up from my book, or glance at my phone, and there it would be. Then it was 333. On receipts, on license plates, even the page number I'd randomly open a book to. It wasn't just once or twice, it was a pattern. I'd be driving, and the car in front of me would have 333 in its plate. I'd go to the grocery store, and my total would be $11.11. At first, I thought I was just noticing them more because I'd started to look for them, a sort of confirmation bias. But then they started appearing in places where I wasn't actively looking. On a billboard I passed, a faded number on an old building, a random sequence in a movie I was watching. It was beyond coincidence. It was as if these numbers were signposts, little flashes of light trying to get my attention, pulling me towards something I couldn't yet see. My curiosity grew, turning into a quiet obsession. I started researching what these numbers meant, diving into online forums and spiritual texts, trying to make sense of the strange language the universe seemed to be speaking to me. I knew, deep down, that something was happening, something big, and it was just getting started. The signs, the numbers, the dreams, they were just the beginning. Soon things got even more personal. It was like Maria herself was reaching out. I'd be sitting alone, feeling that familiar ache of loneliness, and suddenly, her favorite song would play. Not on the radio this time, but as if from nowhere, a faint melody just at the edge of hearing, clear enough to recognize. It happened repeatedly. One afternoon, I was cleaning out an old drawer, feeling particularly down, and a small silver locket, one she always wore, tumbled out. I hadn't seen it in years, thought it was lost. It landed right at my feet, glinting in the sunlight. It was little things like that, but they hit hard. They weren't random. They felt like direct messages, little nudges from her, telling me she was still around, still caring. Then there was the cardinal. Maria loved cardinals. She always said they were messengers from loved ones who had passed. I never really bought into it before. But now, one morning, a bright red cardinal landed on the windowsill right outside my kitchen. It just sat there, looking directly at me for what felt like forever. It wasn't afraid. It just watched. And it kept coming back, almost every day, always at the same time. It brought a strange mix of comfort and profound mystery. It challenged everything I thought I knew about life and death, about reality itself. It made me wonder if the veil between worlds was thinner than I'd ever imagined. Seeking some peace, some quiet, I started spending a lot of time outdoors, walking in the woods near my house, or just sitting by the lake. I needed to clear my head, to find some calm amidst all the weirdness. But even nature seemed to be in on it. I started noticing things I never had before. Strange light patterns in the sky at dusk. Not stars or planes, but fleeting streaks of light that moved in impossible ways, then vanished. The animals behaved differently too. A family of deer, usually skittish, would stand perfectly still and watch me as I passed, their eyes calm and unafraid. It felt less like I was observing nature and more like nature was observing me, or even communicating with me. I felt a heightened sense of awareness, like my senses were sharper, picking up on frequencies I'd ignored my whole life. There was a deep, ancient hum beneath everything, a connection to something vast and old within the natural world, something I was only just beginning to perceive. All these things, the personal messages, the natural phenomena, the numbers, the dreams, they started to weave together, forming a pattern I couldn't ignore. It wasn't just random occurrences anymore. It felt like a story was unfolding, and I was somehow a part of it. A growing sense of purpose began to settle in, a feeling that I was being drawn towards an unknown destiny. It was a subtle pull, not a forceful shove, but it was undeniable. Like a gentle current guiding a boat, the initial fear I'd felt about these inexplicable events slowly gave way to something else. A profound sense of curiosity, even anticipation. I wasn't just observing anymore. I was actively participating, waiting for the next sign, the next piece of the puzzle. I felt like I was on a path, and every step I took was leading me somewhere important. Driven by this overwhelming need to understand, to make sense of what was happening, I dove headfirst into research. I spent hours online, in libraries, poring over ancient texts, mythology, and esoteric knowledge. I read about synchronicity, about spiritual awakenings, about ancient civilizations and their lost wisdom. I devoured books on sacred geometry, quantum physics, and consciousness. I looked into every culture's tales of celestial beings, hidden artifacts, and forgotten histories. And what I found resonated deeply with my experiences. I learned about universal laws, about the interconnectedness of all things, about energy fields and vibrational frequencies. I read accounts of people who had similar experiences with numbers, dreams, and signs from loved ones. It was like I was finally finding the language to describe what I was going through. I discovered references to what some called star people, or ancient visitors, who had supposedly interacted with humanity for millennia, leaving behind cryptic clues and advanced knowledge. The more I read, the more pieces clicked into place. It wasn't just my imagination. There was a vast hidden history, a deeper reality at play. I felt like I was stepping onto a path that was always meant for me, a sense of predestination. This wasn't just about my grief anymore. It was about something far, far bigger. It was about uncovering a truth that had been hidden in plain sight, a truth that was now, for some reason, being revealed to me. My world was expanding, and I knew, with absolute certainty, that I was on the brink of a monumental discovery. The intense dreams I had been having started to feel less like dreams, and more like premonitions. There was an almost palpable tension in the air around me, a buzzing energy that made the hairs on my arms stand up. It was a feeling of impending contact, a deep-seated knowing that something significant was about to happen. My body reacted in strange ways. Sometimes I'd feel a tingling sensation all over, or a faint hum in my ears that wasn't there before. It was like static electricity building up, signaling a storm that was not of this world. Every fiber of my being was on edge, yet also strangely calm, as if I had been preparing for this moment my entire life. One night, I woke up with a clear image in my mind, a desolate landscape, vast and empty, under an enormous sky. It wasn't a place I recognized, but it felt incredibly important. Over the next few days, the numbers and synchronicities pointed me in a very specific direction, almost like a breadcrumb trail. It led me to a remote, arid region in the southwestern United States. I didn't question it. My intuition was screaming at me to go, and after everything I'd experienced, I trusted it completely. I packed a small bag, filled my car with supplies, and just drove. The journey itself felt like a pilgrimage. As I got closer to the coordinates my intuition had given me, the landscape began to change. The green fields and bustling towns gave way to endless stretches of red rock and scrub brush. The air grew dry and hot, and the silence was profound, broken only by the whisper of the wind. It was a place where the horizon seemed to stretch forever, where mountains rose abruptly from the flat earth like ancient sentinels. I found myself in a vast, empty expanse, far from any towns or even paved roads. The beauty was stark, almost brutal, but it held a strange, powerful energy. I spent a day just driving, following the faint tracks that sometimes appeared, sometimes vanished. The sun beat down, turning the metal of my car into a furnace. When I finally stopped, it was in a place that looked exactly like the image from my dream. A wide, flat basin surrounded by low, jagged hills. The silence here was even deeper, almost deafening. I was utterly alone, Yet I didn't feel lonely. Instead, there was a profound sense of connection to the ancient energies of the land. It felt sacred, like a place that had witnessed countless millennia, holding secrets deep within its rocky heart. I set up a small camp, just a sleeping bag under the open sky, feeling a strange mixture of apprehension and excitement. As dusk began to settle, the environment around me started to transform. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic change, but a slow, subtle shift, like the world was holding its breath. The light took on an unusual quality, a soft, ethereal glow that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once. The air, which had been still, now felt heavy, almost viscous. My ears popped, as if I were changing altitude rapidly, and I felt a slight pressure behind my eyes. The silence deepened even further, becoming an almost active presence, pushing out all other sounds. There were no crickets, no distant animal calls, just an immense, resonant quiet that hummed with unseen energy. I looked up at the sky, and the first stars were beginning to appear, but they seemed brighter, closer than usual. The vastness above me felt overwhelming, yet also intimately connected to the earth beneath my feet. It was as if the veil between worlds was thinning, a sense of entering a sacred or forbidden space. My heart pounded, a primal rhythm against the deep silence. Every instinct told me to run, to flee this place. But something else, something stronger, compelled me to stay, to witness whatever was about to unfold. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the dropping desert temperature, a shiver of pure anticipation. Then it happened. It wasn't a flash of light or a sudden appearance. It was more like the air itself began to shimmer, right in front of me, about 50 yards away. At first it was just a distortion, like heat rising from asphalt on a summer day, but far more intense. The light around it seemed to bend, creating a shimmering, translucent outline. It was formless at first, like looking through rippling water, but gradually, a shape began to emerge, a play of light and shadow, coalescing, solidifying. It wasn't solid, not in the way I understood solidity, but it had definition. It was tall, slender, and seemed to glow from within. A wave of both awe and profound fear washed over me. My breath hitched in my throat, and I felt a strange combination of reverence and terror. But within that fear, there was also a peculiar sense of recognition. It was like seeing something I had only known in dreams, something ancient and deeply familiar. My mind struggled to process what my eyes were seeing, what my entire being was experiencing. This was it. This was what all the signs, all the dreams, all the research had been leading to. The world I thought I knew was about to crack wide open, and I was standing right at the epicenter. The shimmering form grew more defined, its presence becoming undeniable, radiating an energy that was both alien and strangely welcoming. The shimmering form grew more defined, its presence becoming undeniable, radiating an energy that was both alien and strangely welcoming. It was then that the being fully manifested. It stood before me, tall and slender, its form composed of what looked like pure light, yet it had definition, an undeniable presence. There were no sharp edges, no harsh lines. Instead, it seemed to flow, like liquid starlight, constantly shifting and reforming within its ethereal boundaries. A soft, inner light emanated from it, illuminating the immediate area with a gentle, pulsing glow that pushed back the encroaching desert darkness. Its eyes were the most striking feature, if one could even call them eyes in the conventional sense. They were pools of deep, cosmic blue, swirling with galaxies, holding what felt like immense wisdom and boundless compassion. There was no mouth, no discernible facial features beyond the luminous eyes, yet I felt an immediate and profound sense of communication. It wasn't through sound, for the silence remained unbroken, but through pure thought, a direct transfer of understanding that bypassed the need for words. It was as if my mind had opened to receive a torrent of information, not in a chaotic rush, but in perfectly formed, instantly comprehensible concepts. A flood of ancient knowledge washed over me, not as a voice, but as vivid images, profound feelings, and complete ideas. I saw visions of ancient Earth, a vibrant planet teeming with life, yet different, somehow purer. Then came glimpses of advanced civilizations, not human as I knew them, but beings of immense intelligence and technological prowess. I witnessed cosmic events unfolding, stars being born and dying, nebulae swirling in silent majesty. It was overwhelming, yet I understood it all implicitly. There was no confusion, no need for interpretation. The information simply existed within my mind, as if it had always been there. It was a direct download of history, science, and universal truths. My human brain struggled to contain the sheer volume, but my consciousness expanded to accommodate it. Suddenly, the focus narrowed. The vision centered on a specific group of these beings, tall and regal, with a profound connection to the stars. The name resonated in my mind, clear as a bell: Anunnaki. I saw them arriving on Earth, not as conquerors, but as tenders, as guides. They brought with them incredible knowledge and technology. And then I saw it, the sphere. It was a magnificent object, pulsating with energy, a nexus of power and information. The alien communicated its original purpose: a tool for knowledge, a source of boundless energy, and a gateway for interdimensional travel. It was a gift, a benevolent offering to early humanity, intended to accelerate our evolution, to guide us toward a higher understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. The intentions were pure, driven by a desire to uplift and nurture. But then the visions shifted, the light growing dimmer, the feelings heavier. The alien conveyed a profound sadness, as it showed me how the sphere's immense power was misunderstood and eventually corrupted. I saw early human factions, driven by greed and a thirst for control, beginning to manipulate the sphere for their own selfish desires. The visions were stark: conflict, battles waged with advanced technology derived from the sphere's power, not for protection, but for domination. The very tool meant for enlightenment became weaponized, its benevolent energy twisted into a force for destruction. The Anunnaki, who had given this gift with such hope, watched with growing concern as humanity veered wildly off course. They saw the trajectory, the potential for catastrophic self-destruction, fueled by a power humanity was not yet mature enough to wield responsibly. The initial awe I felt gave way to a somber understanding. The gift had become a burden, a dangerous toy in the hands of children. The aliens' communication shifted, and I felt a new wave of information, tinged with a deep cosmic regret. It was the Anunnaki's decision to intervene, a choice made not out of anger or punishment, but out of a desperate need to prevent a greater catastrophe. The sphere, once a beacon of hope, had become a catalyst for division and destruction. The vision showed me the Anunnaki deliberating, their collective consciousness filled with sorrow. They had seen the path humanity was taking, a road paved with the very power they had gifted, leading straight to self-destruction. The removal was not an act of taking back a toy from naughty children. It was a necessary surgery to save a life, however painful that surgery might be for both the patient and the surgeon. It was a last resort, a desperate measure to safeguard the nascent human race from its own immaturity. The alien emphasized that this decision weighed heavily on them, a testament to their original benevolent intentions. They had hoped for so much more, for humanity to rise and utilize the sphere for collective good, but the reality was far from it. They had to reclaim their gift, not because they wished to deprive humanity, but because allowing it to remain would only hasten our demise. Then came the mechanics of removal, presented to me not as a dry explanation, but as a breathtaking silent movie playing in my mind. I witnessed advanced technology, far beyond anything I could comprehend. A complex ballet of energy manipulation and precise coordination. The sphere wasn't simply picked up. It was meticulously disengaged from Earth's energetic grid, a process that involved immense power and intricate calculations. The event itself was cloaked, hidden from general human perception. I saw glimpses of it through the eyes of ancient humans, who perceived it as strange weather phenomena, unexplainable celestial events, or sudden localized tremors. To them, it was an act of nature, a wrath of the gods, or a bizarre anomaly. Never understanding the true, orchestrated intervention taking place above their heads, the alien showed me the profound energy shifts that rippled through the planet during this time. Subtle ecological impacts that altered the very fabric of Earth, a deep resonance that settled into the planet's core. It wasn't a violent tearing away, but a carefully executed separation, designed to minimize disruption while achieving its critical objective. The sheer scale of the operation, the precision involved, spoke volumes about the Anunnaki's capabilities and their underlying care for the planet, even as they removed their greatest gift from it. Following the sphere's departure, the aliens showed me a period of profound rebalancing for Earth. It was as if the planet, relieved of a heavy, destabilizing burden, began to heal. This was a time for humanity to evolve organically, without the overwhelming influence of such advanced power. The visions showed civilizations rising and falling, empires built and crumbling, all driven by human ingenuity, ambition, and struggle, rather than by an external, accelerating force. It was a slow, arduous process, but a necessary one. The planet's subtle, energetic restructuring occurred over millennia, preparing it for a future alignment, a time when humanity might be ready once more to engage with such advanced concepts. The Earth itself seemed to sigh, a long, drawn-out exhalation, as it shed the artificial acceleration the sphere had provided. This period of natural growth, however turbulent, was crucial for humanity to develop its own moral compass, its own understanding of power and responsibility, rather than having it handed down. Then came the most crucial revelation, the information that made my heart pound with a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. The sphere was not removed permanently. It was only temporary. The alien conveyed a sense of impending cosmic alignment, a specific time when humanity, having matured through its struggles and learned its lessons, would finally be ready for its return. This wasn't a vague hope. It was a certainty, a preordained event woven into the cosmic tapestry. The alien communicated that the Anunnaki, or their direct descendants, were coming back for it. They would return to retrieve what was theirs, and in doing so, they would reconnect with humanity, not as givers of gifts, but as collaborators in a new era of cosmic understanding. The visions showed me a future Earth, vibrant and unified, where humanity had overcome its internal divisions and was ready to embrace its place among the stars. The message was clear. The countdown had begun, and the return was not a matter of if, but when. This realization sent shivers down my spine, a profound sense of destiny unfolding before my very eyes. The silence of the desert was broken only by the frantic beat of my own heart, echoing the cosmic clock that was now ticking louder than ever before. The alien then expanded on a concept that truly blew my mind: the interconnectedness of all realities. It conveyed that our universe isn't just one linear path, but a vast network of parallel timelines and alternate realities. Every choice we make, every collective action humanity takes, constantly shapes its future, influencing which of these countless timelines it ultimately inhabits. The sphere's return, this monumental event, isn't just a fixed point in time. It's contingent upon humanity's collective spiritual and technological readiness. If we continue on a path of division and destruction, we might shift to a timeline where the sphere never returns, or returns to a world incapable of handling it. It's like a cosmic branching path, and our choices are the navigators. This wasn't about a single, predetermined future, but about the dynamic interplay between free will and destiny, a dance between what is and what could be. The visions showed me how our current actions create ripples, not just in our immediate future, but across these vast, unseen possibilities. It made me realize the immense power we hold, not just as individuals, but as a species, to steer our own cosmic ship. Then came a stark warning, a sense of urgency about humanity's current trajectory. The alien showed me visions of potential dystopian futures, grim possibilities that could unfold if our present path of conflict, environmental destruction, and unchecked greed continued. These weren't scare tactics. They were clear, unavoidable consequences of our choices. I saw images of parched lands, cities choked with smog, people living in fear and scarcity, all a direct result of our inability to unite and care for our planet and each other. It was a sobering look at where we are headed if we don't change course. The message was clear. The importance of unity, compassion, and conscious evolution is not just a spiritual ideal, but a practical necessity to align with a higher, more benevolent timeline. We are at a critical juncture, a moment where the collective decisions of billions will determine which future we step into. It felt like being shown a map with dangerous territories ahead, and being told that we still have the power to choose a different route. This wasn't about judgment, but about profound concern for our well-being and potential. The alien then emphasized something that resonated deeply with my own journey: the role of awakened individuals. It communicated that people like me, who are experiencing synchronicities, vivid dreams, and spiritual awakenings, are crucial to this process. We are the way showers, meant to guide others towards higher consciousness, to help them see beyond the illusions of separation and fear. I saw flashes of other individuals across the globe, people quietly working, sharing knowledge, and living authentically, each contributing to this larger awakening. It wasn't about being special or superior, but about recognizing a responsibility that comes with heightened awareness. This gave me a feeling of immense responsibility, yes, but also a profound sense of empowerment. It wasn't just my story. It was a part of a much bigger, unfolding narrative involving countless others. I wasn't alone in this strange new reality. There was a network of light, a collective consciousness slowly but surely expanding, preparing the ground for what was to come. It was like being told that I was part of a team, a vital, if often unseen player in a cosmic game. Finally, the alien revealed that the cosmic clock is indeed ticking, and the time for the sphere's retrieval is drawing near. This wasn't delivered as a threat, but as a statement of inevitable destiny, a natural progression of cycles. It conveyed that the universe operates in vast, intricate rhythms, and humanity is approaching a significant point in its own evolutionary cycle, a celestial alignment that has been anticipated for eons. The need for humanity to prepare, both individually and collectively, for this monumental event was paramount. It wasn't just about the physical return of an object. It was about the reunion of two civilizations, a coming together that would redefine our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. I felt a surge of energy, a profound sense of anticipation, knowing that I was living in a time of such immense significance. The desert air, which moments ago felt still and ancient, now thrummed with an almost audible vibration, the sound of that cosmic clock counting down, urging us forward. The message was clear. Get ready. The future is hurtling towards us, and it demands our full attention, our full participation. The aliens' presence seemed to intensify, a silent echo of this urgent yet hopeful declaration. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with a strange, exhilarating realization that everything I had experienced, every sign, every dream, had been leading to this very moment, this profound understanding of our shared cosmic future. The being of light began to fade, its form becoming translucent once more, like mist dissolving in the morning sun. It wasn't a sudden disappearance, but a gentle, slow retreat, as if giving me time to absorb the last vestiges of its presence. There was no dramatic flash or thunderous sound, just a gradual lessening of its brilliance, a softening of its outline, until it was no more than a shimmering distortion in the air, then gone. But even as its physical manifestation receded, a final, lingering sense of profound love and hope was communicated directly into my mind. It wasn't a thought, but a feeling, a deep current of positive energy that washed over me, leaving an indelible imprint. It was a silent promise, a gentle reassurance that despite the warnings, there was still immense potential for humanity, a belief in our inherent goodness. I was left alone in the vast desert, the silence now feeling heavier, more profound than before. But I was irrevocably changed, filled with a new, undeniable purpose. The wind picked up slightly, rustling through the sparse brush, as if the desert itself was sighing in the wake of such a momentous event. The immediate aftermath was a whirlwind of disorientation and overwhelming emotions. My mind raced, trying to process the sheer volume of information, the incredible visions, the deep, resonant feelings that had been imparted to me. It was like trying to hold on to water with open hands. The weight of the knowledge was immense, a burden and a gift all at once. My everyday reality felt flimsy, transparent, unable to contain the vastness of what I had just experienced. The stars above seemed closer, brighter, each one a tiny window into the cosmos that had just opened up to me. I felt a strange mix of exhilaration and exhaustion, my body buzzing with residual energy while my mind struggled to integrate such a profound encounter. My life, I knew, could never be the same. The mundane concerns that had once occupied my thoughts now seemed trivial, almost laughable in the face of cosmic truths. The world around me had not changed, but my perception of it had been utterly transformed. Every rock, every grain of sand, every distant mountain now felt infused with a deeper meaning, connected to a grander design. A powerful internal drive began to build within me, an urgency to share this knowledge, to warn and inspire others. It wasn't a choice. It was a compulsion, a deep-seated knowing that this message was not just for me, but for all of humanity. The alien had shown me the potential paths, the dangers, and the incredible opportunities that lay ahead, and I felt a profound responsibility to convey that. The fear of disbelief was a real concern. Who would believe such an impossible story? I could already hear the skeptical voices, the dismissive laughter, but the conviction that the truth must be told was stronger than any apprehension. This wasn't about seeking fame or validation. It was about fulfilling a purpose that had been laid before me. I thought of my wife and how she would have embraced such a revelation, her open mind and curious spirit. It strengthened my resolve. I had to find a way to articulate the inexpressible, to translate the telepathic visions into words that others could understand, or at least consider. And so, the synchronicities, dreams, and numbers that had initially led me to the desert intensified, now serving as constant reminders and affirmations. They were no longer just curious coincidences. They were a personal compass guiding my path forward, confirming that I was still on the right track. I would see specific number sequences on digital clocks at precisely the moment I was contemplating the next step. A particular bird, one I had seen in a dream, would land on my windowsill as I was writing down a new thought. These small, yet significant, occurrences acted as a continuous connection to the alien presence, a gentle nudge from the cosmic architects, even after its physical departure. They were like breadcrumbs, leading me through the labyrinth of this new reality, assuring me that I wasn't abandoned, that the communication, though different, was ongoing. It was a subtle, invisible dialogue, a constant whisper in the background of my life, reminding me of the profound truths I had been shown. The feeling of being continuously connected to that vast, loving intelligence was a source of immense comfort and strength. It made the immense task ahead feel less daunting, knowing that I was not truly alone in this endeavor. Each sign, each dream, each numerical pattern reinforced the authenticity of my experience, solidifying my resolve to share this incredible story with the world, no matter how unbelievable it might seem. The universe, it seemed, was actively participating in my mission, offering quiet affirmations that I was exactly where I needed to be, doing exactly what I was meant to do. The world around me, once a familiar stage, now felt like a prophecy unfolding before my eyes. The tangible signs of global events, the accelerating environmental shifts, and the palpable societal unrest all seemed to align with the aliens' warnings. I watched the news with a new lens, interpreting headlines not as isolated incidents, but as pieces of a larger, interconnected puzzle. The increasing frequency of extreme weather, the political polarization, the pervasive sense of unease that seemed to grip humanity. It all spoke to the potential dystopian futures the alien had shown me. Yet, amidst this dread, there was also a hopeful anticipation. The alien hadn't delivered a message of inevitable doom, but one of choice, of potential. It had highlighted the urgency, yes, but also the immense power of human consciousness to steer the course. I saw the struggles, the suffering, but I also began to see flickers of a collective awakening, a growing number of people questioning, seeking, and demanding change. It was a complex mix of emotions, a constant oscillation between concern for what could be and hope for what still might be. The encounter had fundamentally reshaped every fiber of my being. My perspective on life, on death, on humanity's fragile yet potent place in the vast cosmos had shifted irrevocably. The profound grief that had once consumed me after my wife's passing had not vanished entirely, but it had transmuted. It was no longer a paralyzing void, but a quiet ache, a reminder of love and connection that now fueled a deeper understanding of existence. I had undergone a spiritual awakening, shedding old fears and limitations that had once bound me. The mundane anxieties about money, career, or social standing now seemed incredibly trivial, almost childish. My priorities had rearranged themselves. I sought not personal gain, but collective evolution. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, no longer drifting through life, but actively living for a higher cause, for the potential of humanity. The tears I shed now were not of sorrow, but often of awe, for the intricate beauty and profound mystery of the universe. I understood that my wife's journey, and indeed my own, was part of something far grander than I could have ever imagined. This transformation wasn't a sudden flash, but a gradual unfolding, like a flower slowly opening to the sun, revealing layers of understanding I never knew existed within me. I also sensed that I wasn't alone in this. The alien had hinted at awakened individuals, and I started to see evidence of this everywhere. Not necessarily people who had met aliens, but those who were feeling these same shifts, preparing in their own ways. There were the artists creating works that spoke to unity, the scientists pushing boundaries, the activists fighting for a better world, the spiritual seekers delving into ancient wisdom. It was a subtle, global network of consciousness forming, an invisible web connecting hearts and minds across continents. They were the silent architects of a new paradigm, each playing their part, consciously or unconsciously, in preparing for the monumental shift ahead. The idea that the Anunnaki's return was not just an external event, but an internal one for humanity, resonated deeply. It wasn't just about a physical object reappearing. It was about humanity reaching a level of collective consciousness where it could responsibly wield such power, where it could integrate the sphere's wisdom without succumbing to its corruption. The external event would mirror the internal readiness. So I stand before you now, not as an expert, not as a guru, but as a messenger. My purpose is to share what I have learned, to offer a different lens through which to view our world. I urge you to look beyond the mundane, beyond the noise and distractions of everyday life, to seek your own truths. Question everything. Feel the synchronicities in your own lives. Listen to the whispers of your intuition. The power of collective consciousness is immense, capable of shaping our future in ways we can barely comprehend. We are at a crossroads, and our choices, individually and collectively, will determine which path we take. The cosmic clock is indeed ticking, and the time for preparation is now. What I have shared with you today is just the beginning. There are deeper layers to this story, more revelations that I am still processing, still learning to articulate. This journey of discovery, this unfolding of ancient truths and future possibilities is ongoing. I invite you to join me, to engage with these ideas, to share your own experiences and insights. Subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned, because the full story, the ultimate revelation, is yet to come. The Anunnaki are coming back, and humanity needs to be ready.